Hi, I'm Dennis Welch, and I'm in the music room. If I didn't know better, I'd think you keep a lightning bolt up under your sleeve, completely hidden from my view. It only strikes me when I'm kissing you. Oh, there I go again, trying to explain the ins and outs and the meaning of the mystery and the magic of love. Sometimes I stand near you and I wave my hands. What I'm looking for are the invisible bands that you use when you take me to the sky. You touch my hand and I start to fly. Oh, there I go again, trying to explain the ins and outs and the meaning of the mystery and the magic of love. Hocus pocus and alakazam, one word from you and suddenly I am transformed into a better man. Well, I've done all the snooping I can do today. I'm gonna put my magnifying glass away, stow away my trench coat too, lay right down here next to you, spend the whole night dreaming of the mystery and the magic of love, the mystery and the magic of love, the mystery and the magic of love, the magic of love. Thank you. Thank you.
It was so pretty. Dennis, welcome back. It's been way too long.
Thank you.
I'm
It's
glad
good to be here.
To hear that you've been doing well and writing a bunch of new stuff.
Yeah.
And this one is called The Magic of Love. Tell us a little bit about that song.
So that song was actually written many years ago. I have a whole section of love songs that Susie, my wife, has inspired. We met on a blind date and in August of '79, and I've never really gotten over it. And we married the next. I think I mean that in the best possible way,
Yes,
by the way.
yes.
And we got married in June of '80, and I've been cranking out love songs to her, trying to explain to her how great I have it, you know. So, so that was one of them. Many years ago, and it's one of Susie's favorite songs. I'd never recorded it. It was actually written during the period we talked about earlier, that 20 years. So 2000, I did what I thought would be my last record, and in those 20 years, I wrote that song, thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do with it, and then it wound up on this.
And here you are.
Here we are, this past record. So, you know, God has a sense of humor. So, thank goodness. So.
You have another song called What Love Is Like. Tell us about that.
So that's so I've started writing or trying to write on the piano, and I've never done that before. And this song, you know, I have a friend in Nashville. We'll talk more about him later, but he says, you know, a great song, hit song, you know, puts you in a trance, and what you want is the last verse of this song to keep you in a trance. And so this song was one of those trance songs. So I went in and I sat down and started playing D and A minor, and because I could do those on the piano, and just started over and over again. And every night I would go in and I would play parts of this and add things, but I still didn't have any words to it. And then, you know, what I love about songwriting is you don't really know when it's going to happen.
Right.
And one night, one night it just happened. And basically this song, I wrote the lyrical part of it probably in 2 days, which is
wow.
unusual.
Yeah,
So,
that's great.
yeah. So what love is like. Is that the moon rising in the desert sky, just in time to light my way? A golden galleon on a voyage high, over this old field of clay. That's what love is like when you finally hear it calling. It's exactly what you need. You can't help yourself, 'cause suddenly you're falling. Close your eyes and believe. Is that the rain gently falling on my face, when I was sure the clouds were closed? Holy water from a sacred place that makes the garden grow. That's what love is like when you finally hear it calling. It's exactly what you need. You can't help yourself, 'cause suddenly you're falling. Close your eyes and believe. Is that a fire burning deep down in my soul that brings my frozen heart to life? The flames enfold me and I lose control, and it warms me through the night. That's what love is like when you finally hear it calling. It's exactly what you need. You can't help yourself, 'cause suddenly you're falling. Close your eyes and believe. Close your eyes and believe. Thank you.
Such sweet songs from a sweet man. Love it.
Thank you.
You have another call called, see, Shining Like the Sun, but sun, not like S-U-N, the sunshine,
Yeah.
S-O-N, the sun,
The Sun.
the one and only.
So this idea came from Monty Warden. Do you know Monty is a great songwriter. Lives in Austin. Was in the Wagoneers, and I met him when I was in the Austin songwriter group, and we did some stuff. Anyway, it's not like we're buddies, but anyway, I was driving across Tennessee one day, and I get a call from a 512 number, and it's Monty Warden. Kind of surprised me, and he said, "Hey man, you know he doesn't like. There's not a lot of other stuff going on. If he calls you, apparently he wants to talk about that, whatever that is. And so there were a lot of pleasantries, you know.
Right.
And he said, so I have a title that I've written 5 songs to, and they all stink. And he said, I think you'll know what to do with this title. So he goes, I'm going to ask you to give me 20% of it if it makes any money. Shining Like the S-O-N. And so if you know anything about songwriting, I began to obsess about it immediately, right? And so I wrote what I thought was the whole song. And thought I was finished with it. And so Susie and I were going up to see Will Callery, who wrote Hands on the Wheel for Willie, and he's a poet. He's an amazing guy. He's probably close to 80 now, and just hasn't mentally waned at all. Anyway, we went to spend the night with him, and he's kind of brusque, you know. And so he goes, play me something new. And so I play my version of Shining Like the Sun, and he goes, I get to the end, he goes, nope. I said, what do you mean, nope? And he goes, well, that last verse is wrong. He goes, that last verse should be a military verse, and let me describe it to you. And it literally caused me to go to sleep and dream about this last verse. And, of course, Susie's probably used to this. So we wake up, and he had us in his basement. You couldn't see your hand in front of your face. And all of a sudden, I wake up out of a sound sleep, and I have the last verse. I said, do you have a pencil, a pen? And she goes, yes, I have a pen. I always have a pen. I know what's happening here. And so anyway, he is a co-writer on this. The next morning, I sang it to him. We both cried, and which was something for him, especially. And I said, Will, this is a co-write, so we're gonna.
And what's his last name again?
Callery, Callery. Yeah, he's quite a guy. You'll know where you stand with him. That's for darn sure.
I like that. I like people like that.
5 a.m. He stares into his coffee cup. In an hour, all the kids will be up, and he heaves a sigh. There'll be lunches to make and breakfast to cook. They'll hardly give him a second look as they head out the door. Maybe someday they will know he's shining like the sun, lighting up the days over in his corner of the human race. No one may ever notice when all is said and done. Oh, the good Lord knows he's shining like the sun. 6 a.m. She's on her way downtown to work. Her boss can be such a pompous jerk. She goes anyway. He'll demand all of her time today. He won't appreciate the price she pays. She'll think of her kids. And again today she is shining like the sun, lighting up the days over in her corner of the human race. No one may ever notice, but when all is said and done, oh, the good Lord knows she's shining like the sun. One thing to wear a bracelet that says, what would Jesus do? It's another thing to wake up every day and follow through. 7 a.m. I'm standing with my dress blues on as we say goodbye to Lieutenant Jones in the fading dawn. We aim our guns to the eastern sky and fire a volley as the white doves fly. We bid adieu to another hero who was shining like the sun, lighting up the days over in his corner of the human race. No one may ever notice, but when all is said and done, oh, the good Lord knows he's shining like the sun. Oh, the good Lord knows he's shining like the sun. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Somewhere in these ashes.
Yeah. So, inspiration doesn't come when I want it to come. It comes when it comes.
Right.
And so I was on a treadmill at the gym trying to take care of this old body of mine. And this title just scrolled across my face like it was on a screen.
Oh, wow.
And I do what I do. I wrote it down. I think I spoke it into my phone or something.
Right.
And then over the next few months, prayed about it. What is this? It has to be, can't be for nothing, right? And so it turned out to be this song. It's on the new record. I guess I've always been troubled by the homeless. It's like it's hard to just ignore that.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, where this probably came from. His hair was gray, his clothes were worn. I met him on a winter's morn in a train yard just outside of Montreal. He was sleeping on the sidewalk and he woke when I reached out my hand to see if he was still breathing. He suddenly started speaking. He said, "I'm not crazy and I'm not blind. I'm just out here trying to find an ember of the man I used to be. When I should have been at home, I was out there striking matches. I burned it down, and I hope it's found somewhere in these ashes." She was a mama and a wife with a nearly perfect life. She had it all, but she thought she needed more. So she lives among her flames in an alley down on Main. When I saw her, she was praying. I overheard her saying, "Lord, I'm not crazy and I'm not blind. I'm just out here trying to find an ember of the girl I used to be. When I should have been at home, was out there striking matches. I burned it down, and I hope it's found somewhere in these ashes." When I think about my own fires, can hardly count the cost. All the bridges that I burned, the good love I have lost. But I'm not crazy and I'm not blind. I'm just out here trying to find an ember of the man I used to be. When I should have been at home, was out there striking matches. I burned it down, and I hope it's found these ashes. Thank you. Thank you.
Very nice. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, my theme song, I can't remember.
I get a lot of crap for this title because people go, "Hey, that's like that." It's and then people say, "What's the next song?" And I say, "I can't remember." And they're like, "No, what's the next song?" Anyway, so I wrote a book several years ago, 2009, and then a second edition in 2013, and I interviewed my mother every Saturday. She was. I just loved her story. She came from nothing. She was married first time she was 14.
Wow.
And had my oldest brother, and then they divorced, not surprisingly, and then she married again to a guy who was probably a polygamist because he'd leave to go buy a loaf of bread and be gone for 6 months and then reappear. And anyway, and then she met my daddy, who was a raging alcoholic, and he was. He could go a year and not drink a drop, and then he would be gone for 2 weeks. He'd be in a hotel somewhere, passed out. And anyway, so my mother got saved. Somebody said, "Patsy, you've tried everything. Why don't you try God?" And so she said, "You know what? That's a really good idea because I have tried everything." And so we started going to Berry Road Baptist Church in Houston, a little tiny church, and so my dad hated that she went to church and took all of us. I was just a little baby. I don't remember any of this stuff. But anyway, so one night she said she woke up and he was sitting on the edge of the bed smoking a cigarette. And she said, is there something wrong with you? Are you okay? And he goes, "No, I'm not okay." He goes, I've done a lot of terrible things. Probably a lot of them you don't even know about. And he said, "I just wonder what I'm supposed to do with all this stuff. Am I supposed to just carry this around or what?" And she said, "Well, you know what? It's your lucky day, Ronald, because they taught us in church this week that if you bring your sins and your problems to Jesus, that he casts them as far as the east is from the west, and he remembers them no more." And she said, he wasn't a big talker, and he didn't say much more. But a couple weeks later, we were in church, and he brought his own car. And he came and sat in the back row and started listening. And he started coming every Sunday. He wanted to hear it for himself. And eventually he got saved. And all our lives changed immediately. My grandchildren's lives were changed. And so anyway, when I heard the story, I started thinking about it. It took me another, 7, 8, 9 years to write this. But this is about that. It's a love song about forgiveness. So. Your love washes over me, and down I go in a raging sea. If this is what drowning is, please take me down. Relentless waves carry me away, and through the roar I hear you say, "Are you afraid, my love? Don't be afraid." And I can't remember, I can't recall what happened at all when you took my hand. You're welcome to ask your question again, but I can't remember. You pulled me safely to your side. You whispered it will be all right. We danced in the undertow. You said that you'd never go. I wondered if you'd seen my sins, the darkest places that I'd been. When I asked you turn your head, you looked straight at me and said, "I can't remember, I can't remember, I can't recall what happened at all when you took my hand. You're welcome to ask your question again, but I can't remember. It was just an ordinary day. I was on my ordinary way until there was you, and all I could do is fall. I can't remember, I can't remember, I can't recall what happened at all when you took my hand. You're welcome to ask your question again, but I can't remember. There once was a time when your love wasn't mine, but I can't remember.
That's your Roy Orbison song,
That's
right?
my Roy Orbison song, yeah.
Nice. I hold my head up high.
So Susie and I was working for the Gallup organization, and
Is it the polling?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I went to work there at the right time. They were not a very profitable, but they were a very well-known polling company, and they were becoming. They decided to become consultants and write all these big books and stuff, and so I went to a meeting. I finished my MBA, and I became a director of marketing. I went to a meeting down in Atlanta, and on the cab ride back to the airport, almost audibly, I heard, "You should look around because it's going to be home." And it scared me to death. I'd never lived anywhere but Houston. Yeah. And I thought, I don't even want to talk about this. Okay. And I'm sure not going to mention it to her. But you know what? The Lord's always right. And so when I got home, I said, Susie, I had the weirdest thing happen, and I don't know what it means. I said, but I guess we'll see, like we do with everything else like this. And so anyway, a week later, a new partner took over just 1 week, took over the Atlanta office, and he called me, and he said, hey, man, I just became the managing partner here. I have one name on my hire list. Can you guess who that might be? I said, Ron, I don't have to guess. It's me. He goes, yeah, it's you. And he goes, and don't say no, okay? He goes, come down and run around, visit with us, and see Atlanta. And I already knew we were supposed to be there. Yeah. So anyway, we moved, and it was very, very difficult. 1,000 miles from my mother. You know, she was alone at that point, you know, and so I just had a hard time with it. So one night I told Susie, I said, look, I need to do something familiar. I said, so I'm going to go down to the music store down there, and I'm going to start taking some guitar lessons because I need them. You can tell I do. So anyway, I go down there, and this kid comes in. He sits with me. He goes, what do you do? You'll like this, Randy, because you played music with me, so you know how this works. So he goes, so what do you like to do? And I said, well, I kind of like moody stuff, you know, minor keyed things and all that. And he said, well, have you ever played an E minor like this? I said, no. And as soon as I heard it and I played it, I said, hey, man, you know what? I need you to go get me a pencil and a piece of paper. He said, was it something I said? And I said, no. It kind of was something you said. I said, just do that for me. And I said, listen, I'm going to pay you for this hour, but I need you to leave me alone. And so he backed out of the room and left me in there by myself. And I wrote the bones of this song from that one chord and that one lesson. This is This is a Hold My Head Up High. I'm always amazed by all this kind of stuff. I don't get it, but... Is this what it feels like when it's over? Is this where our hearts turn into stone? Is this where you tell me I don't understand your feelings? Or maybe I don't. But I'll go on, and I'll hold my head up high. I've done all I can do. I'm still in love with you. I can't make you change your mind. Still I'll try to hold my head up high. Is this where we kiss one final kiss? Is this where we brave a last embrace? Is this where you tell me we'll be fine without each other? Well, maybe I won't, but I'll go on, and I'll hold my head up high. I've done all I can do. I'm still in love with you. I can't make you change your mind. Still I'll try to hold my head up high. And I can't tell you how I think this all will end, but I'm hoping against hope. And until then, I'll hold my head up high. I've done all I can do. I'm still in love with you, and I can't make you change your mind. Still I'll try to hold my head up high. I've done all that I can do, so I'll hold my head up high.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was a good guitar lesson.
Yes, it was.
Worthwhile, you know.
For sure.
So, Uncle Joe.
Yep.
So, let me just say, first of all, I think part of the setup's got to be that I'm married into a family of malaprops. You know what a malaprop is? That's where somebody says a word that seems like it could be the right word, but your antenna are telling you it's not the right word. And sometimes well, let me give you some examples. So when Susie and I met, and by the way, it's genetic, comes down through the generations, apparently. So Susie and I had just met, and her dad already really had it in for me. It's like, I don't want you marrying damn troubadours, what he called me. And so she invited me to a cocktail party, and I was a north side Houston boy. I'd never been to a cocktail party, I didn't know what that was, but I liked her, and so I said, okay, I'll come to the cocktail party. So we go, and I go. It's at her house, and everybody's dressed nice, and and so Susie and I are standing there with this lady, she wore a black dress and pearls. She looked pretty, and she said, so Susie, what do you do? And she said, named about 20 things she was doing. She said, I work full time. I run a flower shop, and I play racquetball at 4 a.m. She named 10 things. And Dennis, what do you do? And I said, well, I'm in a band. I said, I'm going to college full time, but I've named all this stuff, working full time. She goes, when do y'all ever see each other? And Susie said, oh, our hours are very erotic. I said, No, they're not erotic. Not that it hadn't crossed my mind now, but you can put the shotgun down, Mr. Klein. They're erratic, okay? So, close. Well, years later, after we were married, her granny called me one night and loved her. She's awesome. She called one night. She said, "Now, Dennis, I'm coming down to get my eyes worked on down the medical center." And she said, "Rhonda is going to drive me. And I know she's going to want to do some shopping. So I'm wondering if you might be able to get us a hotel down near the gonorrhea."
Oh, no.
I said, "Well, Granny," I said, I'm just going to tell you, there's some places on South Main you can be near the gonorrhea and not even get out of your car. I think you mean the Galleria, right? So anyway, Susie's family was interesting. And she had an Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe would come to your house, to your formal function, but he had to bring his cow and tie her up in the backyard because he was sure that she had a touch of separation anxiety. Okay. Anyway, he came to my house. Her aunt had some work done, and they came to my house. Uncle Joe wore his overalls, brought his own spit can, spent 2 days telling me how the world worked. Okay. And when he left, I said, "Susie, I have enough material here for 10 songs." Okay. But this is the one I wrote. Every year in the early fall, we all meet up in Arkansas. The family reunites for a day or two. Well, rednecks and beer is a bad combo, and if you don't believe it, just look at Uncle Joe standing over there on the picnic table, telling everybody who's able to hear that man didn't go to the moon, you know. That was all done in a studio and in a desert just outside of Monterey. Aliens have landed here, and I swear on this whole case of beer, they're still living here among us, the whole bunch. Now somebody say the prayer, let's have lunch. Uncle Joe thinks that wrestling's real. He's thrilled to death with the cable deal that keeps him on TV 24 hours a day. He's a marvel in overalls. He can even do cattle calls and a fair impression of Stewart and Gable. Just look at him there on the picnic table saying, man didn't go to the moon, you know. That was all done in a studio and in a desert just outside of Monterey. Aliens have landed here, and I swear on this whole case of beer, they're still living here among us, the whole bunch. Now somebody say the prayer, let's have lunch. Uncle Joe fought overseas just so guys like him and me would be free to say whatever we want to say. So it's okay if he says, man didn't go to the moon, you know. That was all done in a studio and in a desert just outside of Monterey. Aliens have landed here, and I swear on this whole case of beer, they're still living here among us, the whole bunch. Now somebody say the prayer, let's have lunch. Every year in the early fall, we all meet up in Arkansas. Little Rock, we have a problem.
I like that.
I miss
like
Uncle
that song
Joe.
a lot.
I miss Uncle Joe. He was a trip. That whole bunch was, to be honest with you.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, Thanksgiving. Whew. You know.
But you know the great thing about those kind of people is that they're so real. I mean,
they just
you
are
gotta
who they
love
are.
it. They
Yeah,
are.
exactly.
They are.
Exactly. I'll just tell a quick story. Our son was when he was little. We found out he was allergic to tree nuts, and so he figured out. He's really smart. He's little. Preschool teacher gave him a cookie. He'd put it on his tongue. He could tell. That's got pecans. I can't have that. Right.
Wow.
So anyway, so that happened. Before Thanksgiving, and we all go to Thanksgiving. Always interesting. So we sit down at the table. The conversations at that table literally could go anywhere, as you will see. Mm-hmm. So somebody asked Susie, how's Daniel doing now? Because he'd had some asthma issues and all that. And she said, he's doing a lot better now he's become aware of his nuts.
Oh no.
I thought, oh God, this could go anywhere. And her cousin Frankie wore a big old black hat. He had a woman with him, looked like she had fishnet hose on. I don't know where he got her, but he seemed thankful. Okay, and so he pulled the brim of his hat down, got real serious. He leaned in and he said, "And how old is the boy?" She said, "He's 4." He goes, I didn't become aware of my nuts until much later. And a whole conversation ensued, okay? Anyway, it's all right. Good people, salt of the earth.
Right.
So, next.
When I think love.
Okay, when I think of love. So,
Think of love.
Our oldest granddaughter, is 23 now. And when she came into the family, she was 4. My son was dating this woman, and he called us one night and said, "Hey, I'm bringing over this girl and her daughter, and I want you to meet her. Thinking about asking her to marry me." So you know how guys are. We think we think we're going to be logical now, right? So anyway, so I told Susie, I said after she hung up, I said, "Listen, I'm going to ask you to do something for me now. Do not get attached to this little girl, because this relationship might not work out and you get your heart broke, okay? So just keep a little bit of emotional distance here." So so they knock on the door, and the door swings open, and in comes this 4-year-old bundle of joy. And she comes and jumps up in my big chair with me, and she goes, "Hey, Mr. Welch, I've heard all about you." I said, "You have? What have you heard about me?" She said, "I heard you don't know how to color. And so I'm going to teach you how to color." And so for the next 2 hours, she never left my side. And we took fake phone calls and tickled and cracked jokes and colored. Anyway, when they left, Susie stood with her arms folded at the door. And she said, "Well, way to go, Mr. Rock of Gibraltar." And I said, "He better marry her, okay? That's all I got to say." So he did, and she's been a blessing, Alexis. So this is a little song I wrote for her, and I got to surprise her one night, a gig in Houston, and I said, "Hey, won't you bring your mama?" And I didn't tell her why, and I was able to sing this for her. So this is called "When I Think of Love." Hey, look at you, all grown up and on your way. How did the time go by so fast? Lucky me, I'm still here to see the woman you've become. I've cherished each moment as it passed. And if I'm ever asked what love is, I'll just simply smile and say, It's a little girl who came along, stole my heart away. An angel's face, the sweetest smile, and eyes of blue. When I think of love, I think of you. Yeah, I know it hasn't always been so easy. Somehow you found your own way. And through it all, you've been beautiful, a wonder to behold. And I just want you to know that if I'm ever asked what love is, I'll just simply smile and say, it's a little girl who came along, stole my heart away. An angel's face, the sweetest smile, eyes of blue. When I think of love, I think of you. And if I'm ever asked what love is, I'll just simply smile and say, it's a little girl who came along, stole my heart away. An angel's face, sweetest smile, eyes of blue. When I think of love, when I think of love, when I think of love, I think of you. Thank you.
That's beautiful. How old is she now?
23 now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. She's a treat.
Still a treat after all these years.
She totally is, and we're working on very slowly, I might add. We're working on a children's book together.
Oh, nice.
For one of my songs, Why Not Me?
Oh,
and
cool. Very cool.
She's a cool little illustrator, kind of quirky.
Yeah.
You know,
Uh-huh.
makes it.
Well,
Makes it interesting.
she did teach you how to color after all.
She did teach me how to. Not very. No, not that good. Trust me. But even the best of teachers, can only do. I'm a remedial colorer.
Slow descent.
Yeah. So slow descent is. So I've had a friend who's been my music attorney for 35 years or something, and 30 years, and great friend, moved down to Costa Rica. And is living the life down there, and seems very happy. He's traveling the world now, and found love, which we're happy about. And anyway, and so one day here a year or so ago, I get an email from him, and it has a poem in it. I'm like, what? Talk about a left turn. And so, anyway. He said, "Hey man, I want to tell you the story about this." He said, "I was traveling with one of ZZ Top's, one of Bill Ham's ZZ Top's company, one of his artists. We were in El Paso for a residency, and he said I walked out on the bridge to Juarez while I was there, and I had a vision, and I went back to my hotel room. I wrote this poem, and I've only shown it to one other person in 45 years."
Wow.
And I wonder if there might be a song in here. And I said, you know what, Edward? You know how I care about you, and I'm going to try. There's a lot of verses here, okay? And I said, we're going to need to, just like with a book, you can't put every word in a movie because you only have 2 hours. So you're going to let me do what I want to do here? And so, sure enough, it's a song.
So it's a co-write then?
It's
right?
a co-write with Ed. Yes, Ed
and
Fair.
What's his last name?
Fair, F-A-R, like fairway.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. July called up a sultry afternoon. She must have been waiting for the call. The wind chipped away at the boredom, chasing summer into fall. Begging pesos on the bridge that stole from Juarez, silk scarf hiding the hard lines on your face. You drew me near, and I started to fear that you would close the book and I would lose my place. I heard your call began to fall in a slow descent. You would never look straight into the camera. You said the flash was a blinding glare. I saw a story as the day began to melt, and the sun dripped off your sand-bleached hair. I would display you as a rare betrayed Contessa for all my Silver Circuit friends to see. Sonora gypsy from the caravan, so calm in your casual misery, a fantasy that sentenced me to a slow descent. I watched your fashion magazine pacify you, and suddenly you seemed so cynical and chic. Your words cut through the air like diamonds as my half smiles crumbled at your feet. And now I stand outside your marble walls and wonder if you remember or even know my name. And all that's left of you is just a jaded memory and an empty picture frame. You came and went and left me in a slow descent. Slow descent, slow descent. So when I called Ed after I'm going to skip if I live to be 100, if that's okay.
That's fine.
Yeah. So after I called Ed on whatever you do, WhatsApp. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, Ed, put me on speaker and just sit down. I'm going to play what I have so far. And thank goodness for the internet. Because when I got it, I thought, I need some Mexican guitar chords and some progressions. And so I went out on the internet and I learned those. And while I was learning them, this song began to go. It's like, I know where to put that now. It's like that never would have happened. I'm not sure where I would have learned it. But anyway, so I sang it to him, and there was total silence on the other end. And I said, Ed, did we lose the connection? Are you still there? He goes, I'm here, but I'm not breathing. Anyway, so it's that song made it onto this last record that's out right now, and what the guy did with it in the studio is crazy. But Okay, let's go to Worth My Time. Is that all right?
Yeah, and you co-wrote that with Alan Chamblin, is that correct?
Yes. So, so Alan Chamblin is a Hall of Fame writer. House That Built Me, I Can't Make You Love Me, so many songs. And we became great friends a few years ago, probably now almost 20 years ago. And I had even recorded a version of this song on a record in 2000. And I thought I was done with it. You know, you record it, you think you're finished, right? And so anyway, and the better friends Alan and I became, the more he kept asking me, how can I help you with what you're doing? I said, Alan, no, I'm your friend, and I don't ask my friends like to help to do stuff for me. I said, it's okay. So 1 week before we started fixing this song, he called me. Susie and I were driving home from Louisiana. He called me. He said, hey, man, listen, I'm going to ask you one more time. I really want to help you. I love your songs, and I want to help you. I said, Alan, listen, I love you. I'm just saying, I'll let you know if I ever need you, kind of thing. Kind of keeping him at arm's length, you know. So anyway, I'm not sure. That was a pride thing, probably. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I pitched my song, my previous version of the song, to a little couple independent artists in Nashville. And in a few minutes, probably 10 minutes later, I get this big dim the lights email back, and it says, hey, man, this is a great idea. But we don't think you're done writing it yet. And would you be willing to do some more writing on it? And at first I was kind of incensed. Like, what are you talking about? It's great already. You know, that's the first reaction. Then your good brain kicks in and goes, maybe they're telling you something. Okay, why don't you listen for a change? So I took their email, and they said, this song could be I Can't Make You Love Me. It has that kind of potential, which in my estimation is one of those that it's hard even, it's like a Mount Rushmore, you know. And so it could be that, but you have to do some more writing. So I forwarded that email to the guy who wrote with Mike Reed, I Can't Make You Love Me, my friend Alan Chamblin. And I said, okay, Deacon, I said, I don't want you to do anything. I just want you to tell me if these people are crazy. Because if they're crazy, I'm not tearing this song apart and redoing it. Okay? Mm-hmm. And he goes, okay. No, he didn't even go okay. He didn't even reply to me. And so a week goes by, and on a Sunday afternoon, I'll never forget it, he calls me up and he says, hey, you got a few minutes? You might want to sit down. It's going to take a while. He's very deliberate. So I find a place to sit because I knew this was important. And he said, look, this little couple's right. This is really important. It's an important song. And he said, and they're also right, you ain't done yet. So I tell you what I'm going to do. He goes, if I co-write this with you, people will think that you sat in the room with me while I wrote it because people know me and they don't know you. So I'm going to be your editor. And every night at 9 o'clock, I'm going to call you. I'm going to find out how much progress you made on this song because I want you to get this song done. It's important. So he wasn't kidding. Every night at 9 o'clock, this Hall of Fame writer calls me and listens to what I'm doing. And he was really co-writing it with me. He would bring up things that would make me think, oh, man, you know what? That's not right. Right? He never really said that. Mm-hmm. So anyway, 6 months of that, I was sick of this song. I was tired of doing the song. I didn't want to write it anymore.
It wasn't worth your time, was it?
It wasn't worth my time, exactly. And so Susie and I go up to Nashville, and Alan and his wife, and they invite us out for dinner out at their farm. And I'm hoping he didn't even ask about the song. And on the way up there, I had written probably 50. We were almost done at writing last verses now, and I'd written 50 last verses. And I had all these pieces of sticky stuck up on the dashboard and stuff. It was crazy. So we get there, and we have lunch and everything. And, of course, he invites me into his writing room. And he says, sing me that last verse. So I did. And he goes, no, that's not it. That's not right. And he said, so get back in there. You know, a great song puts you in a trance. He goes, your last verses are taking me out of the trance. And he said, your last verse, and he said, leave me in a trance. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, okay? But I'm going to get back in there and try. So we prayed about it. Over the next few months, we cried about it. One night on the phone, both of us broke down. He goes, this song is so important because it's about silent abuse. And he goes, it's happening everywhere, and nobody knows because there's no bruises. And somebody needs to write a song about getting stronger and getting out of that, okay? Mm-hmm. People who come in and wreck your life and think they can come in and out when they want and that kind of stuff. That's what this is about. So anyway, one night after we'd had a fit, I said, Deacon, let me ask you a question. I said, is it going to wreck your songwriting career to put your name on a song with a no-name Texas songwriter? He goes, well, of course not. Why are you saying that? I said, well, because my next question, I had to ask that one first, okay? I said, do you know what this last verse is? And he goes, I probably do. I said, well, then why in the world don't you go write it and put us out of our misery, okay? And he goes, okay, well, give me 2 weeks. I said, 2 weeks? Alan, we've been working on this song for 6 months. He goes, give me 2 weeks. And in 5 minutes, he was back on the phone with me and goes, what about this? And what you hear here is his 5 minutes. And I said, you wrote that in 5 minutes? How in the world? He goes, well, look, I don't want to pull rank on you or nothing. He goes, my sword's sharper than yours because I do this every day, all day long. And he said, so my 5 minutes is like 1,000 years for you. So anyway, this is worth my time. Is it worth my time to get over you? Will you walk back in like you always do? Even though you've said we're through, is it worth my time to get over you? You say you've changed, well, so have I. I'm much stronger now, so tell me why I can't move on to someone new. Is it worth my time to get over you? I've said it all 1,000 times before, what I would do if you walk through that door. Now here you are, and all that I can do is wait for your goodbye. Is it worth this pain and your words that bruise? Should I be the one you love to use? If I have to ask, then I should know that it's worth my time to let you go. After all my heart's been through, yeah, it's worth my time to get over you. Thank you. Okay.
It has been so wonderful having you back in here and listening to your new
Thank
stuff.
you. It's great to be here. It's been too long.
It has been.
It's my fault.
We need to let that not happen again.
Okay. I'm all for it.
And I'm going to have you take us out of this show tonight with Why Not Me? Go ahead and tell us about it and then take us on out. So
this was the first song I ever wrote on the piano, and have a little Tinker Toy piano, and I was working on this, and I was almost done with it, and one night Susie knocked on my writing room door, and she swung the door open, she goes, "Okay, that's enough. I've been hearing this through the door. I want to sit next to you, and I want to hear what you're doing." I said, "Oh, okay. I'll try to do as I'm told, you know." And so I sang it to her, and this is a woman who's heard everything I've written for 40-something years, and when I was finished, she got real quiet, and she said, "You know, that's among the best things you've ever done." I guess I was 65 at the time. Mm-hmm. You know, I guess we're never done, are we? And we shouldn't be. And so from this song, some miracles happened. Somebody had something like a hit with it, and then a friend of ours, who's a very talented guy in Nashville, had me sing it for him in a Mexican restaurant one night a cappella, and decided that he should produce this demo, and then from that came 2 records. So I did 0 records for 20 years, and 2 in the last 2.5, and all of it came, at least song-wise, came from this, and so this is Why Not Me. There's a mountain wide and high, it reaches halfway to the sky, and in my heart I know I'm supposed to climb. All the fears down in my soul tell me that I might lose control, but no matter what they say, I'm climbing anyway. 'Cause why not me? Why can't I? I'll never know if I don't try. Yeah, I might fail and I might fall, but it's just a mountain after all. So why not me? There's an ocean deep and blue, it stretches out in front of you, and on the other side is everything you dreamed of. So say a prayer and then set sail, stay the course and you'll prevail. When the doubts start whispering, just lift your voice and sing. Why not me? Why can't I? I'll never know if I don't try. Storms may rage, the sea might roar, but it's just an ocean, nothing more. So why not me? Why not me? Why can't I? I'll never know if I don't try. Yeah, I might fail and I might fall, but it's just a mountain after all. It's just an ocean, nothing more. So why not me? Yeah, why not me? Why not me? Thank you.
Again, thank you so much for being here.
It's great to be here.
I
Thank
also
you.
want to thank our lovely little studio audience that came out this evening to listen to
Thank you all.
Thanks to Bruce Davis, our photographer, who's here taking pictures, and he's going to make you look really good.
Thank you. He's
always
got a
does.
lot of work to do.
No. And thank you to Randy back there. He is doing the recording tonight. And send out to Gene and Barbara. They're normally here diligently. Unfortunately, they're both pretty sick. So,
Okay. Well, add them to my prayer list.
Please do. Please do. And everybody out there, keep on coming back and listening. You are in the music room.